recycling, and recently to 3 times a week to pick up green waste at different times. And so perhaps that's how some precedent began in terms of the village doing some snow plowing or whatever at some point in time. But I just wanted to, there's been some sort of a lack of clarity around the giving, toing and throwing and giving that goes on in our small community, and the cooperation that goes on. Second matter for the public record, I was very concerned to read the minutes prior to coming to the meeting tonight, and I noted that the public covers, Mr. and Mrs. Public Cover, spoke at the last meeting, and both referred to the fact that they were very concerned that trees had been cut on their property. And to correct the minutes of the public record, clear that the trees that were cut were not on their property, and in fact were demonstrated to have been on Mr. Colville's property. The third item was with regard to a question for Councillor, and perhaps I could do that in the later session. Is that okay?
Would that be agreeable?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Are there any questions from Councillor?
I see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other public participation? There being, I'm sorry?
There was one item that I do think we should need to correct. And that's this morning, or this afternoon. Carol Collin handed out a document today and posed a number of questions, and I'll answer those questions later on. But there was one question that was posed that I would like to, my understanding is correct this. It says, why is the village posting on privately owned strata lot that is partially owned by Mayor Broughton, where her worship's husband operates a post office located in a general store and cafe? What I'd like to, my understanding is that Canada Post rents space from the Strata Corporation, and it is operated, the Canada Post rents space from the Strata Corporation. There's a number of other questions that was posed, and I wanted just to be clear, is that we are looking at the procedure bylaw. Some of the questions and comments that were made by Ms. Conlon are right on. We are looking at making some changes. But I'll be coming forward at a later meeting with some very specific responses to these, and I think this gives us a good idea of, or gives us some good thoughts of how we can make some changes later on.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you.
Oh, sorry, and one final question. They asked why the post office, because in the procedure bylaw it says public notice posting place means the notice board at the post office.
Yeah,
whether that's the right place is
thank
still
you very much.
debated.
As far as I'm aware, it's been the place that's existed since time began, but I'm not aware of anything because it is owned and operated by the Canadian company corporation, Canada Post. So just to be clear, it is operated by the Canadian corporation, Canada Post, and solely operated by them. At any rate, so just to clear the record, we had a communications person in earlier, and they said when something incorrect is cited, please correct the record immediately, so that record's corrected. Thank you very much, Mr. McGrath. If we can move along then to the delegation on secondary suites. Ms. Bages. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and delegations have up to 10 minutes. And then if council has any questions of you, then they might detain you longer than that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Suites Committee, which is comprised of Dave Butler, Phil Marsh, Anne-Marie Gates, Joanne Ronsley, myself, and Colin Watson, and Grant McGrath. Okay, I got it. Anyway, I think you all have a copy of the revisions in front of you. based on, it's a very short revision. You'd never know that was a year and a half's work.
I would, it was very well, but
Okay, so just to talk about first, we had some objectives in mind when we went in, and it was to simplify and streamline the language of the current bylaw. It was to ensure the fairness to current residents with suites as well as residents without suites. And foremost, it was to make sure that there is complete compliance for safety for all residents with current suites as well as future suites. So I don't really, I'll just highlight a couple of the changes. And you'll see that in 2.1, cooking facilities was quite a lengthy paragraph with electric work and pressure cookers and kettles and whatnot, and we have just removed all of that and has, it is now, a suite is means a stove that has 220 volts, which is compliant with all other municipalities currently. We've changed a couple of the wordings to what the principal place of residence would mean, and that just takes us into looking at the safety requirements as well as where the suite is. It is very clear now in the bylaw that the suite has to be contained within the principal residence as opposed to interpreted to be a possible adjacent or other building. There is a litany of safety measurements that have been put under 6.2, and those are all up to fire code as well as up to the current fire standards and bylaw building codes. If you guys want a copy of it, it's just that there's a lot of legalese that the gallery does. So in short, I guess you'll see the revisions to the bylaw, but the summary is that these will be easier to follow for everybody, that they will be safer for both renters and the homeowners, and that it is clear and even fairness to both parties, residences with suites as well as residents without suites. And finally, we would hope and would like to recommend that with these revisions, that council will be able to move forward with legal action for people that do not comply. So that, I think, is it in a nutshell. If there's any questions or any of my committee members want to add anything?
can I thank you very much and go to Councillor Ronsley, who chaired the committee, and Councillor Ronsley.
Thank you very much, Carol. It was a very dynamic and dedicated committee. I'd like them to stand up. They are here, almost all of them tonight, showing their dedication. Some just off the plane. I'm sorry, Phil, you have to stand up. I didn't tell you that we enjoyed.
Hey.
So Philip Marsh,
Anne-Marie.
Dave Butler, Anne-Marie Gates, and who's hiding? Well, we have Colin Watson, who couldn't make it tonight, and also Haley Cook from the office has been on here on a regular basis. We met a lot. They seriously debated. I had the pleasure of just listening to them. I think I've directed a few of these committees. I've never known one more dedicated, more conscientious, and more, let's do the right thing for the community. I think what I came away with very clearly as a counselor is we have a job to do. We have many more suites in this community that are registered, and it's only fair that all of them are registered in terms of the long-term safety of the community, in terms of the expenses that the community undergoes, leave things as they are as far as family is concerned. But but I believe the message that came out clear and loud and repeatedly after one meeting after another is let's treat everybody in the community the same and get this group listed for our own well-being. So I would like to, in the minutes, acknowledge the great job that has been done by this committee on behalf of the community. Gratitude is tremendous from the council's point of view, and certainly it extends all the way through. And it's really been a pleasure to sit at the head of the table with this devoted and talented group. So thank you very much, and I applaud you.
Can I add to your comments, may I, Councillor Ronsley? First of all, thank you very much for chairing the committee and for putting together this group of people who have met over the year, and thank you to staff, Dave Butler. I saw the input, the note that was there. Thank you very much, Ms. Bages, for presenting this evening on your committee's behalf. And I read it, and I have to tell you my thing, and Carol will know this, I tick, 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 tick as I read. And then if I'm inspired, I put something at the end. Nobody sees it, right? Because I'm not handing it back to you, but it says, good work, exclamation mark, and then a swift underline. And I just really thank each of you on behalf of the community. Just continuous quality improvement, and that's what this really represents. So thank you. Any other comments? And thank you for all of staff guidance and to the committee for your time and effort. And again to Councillor Ronsley for guiding the process. And if I may, take us forward to the next item, and thank you so much. If I can.
They don't have to stay. They don't.
You do not have to stay if you do not want to.
No, I've got another meeting. Really, I do. Really, I do. I've done my time here.
You have done your time here. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to move us along then to business arising, and then unfinished business, to the adoption of the minutes of April 15th, 2014, regular council meeting. Could I have council move and second, please? Thank you, Councillor Ronsley, and a seconder, Councillor Bain. And any changes, additions, deletions to those minutes? Yes, thank you very much, Councillor McLaughlin.
A small typo on page 6 of 10, which is 8 of 146.
Thank you very much.
Oh, 8 of 146. If Councillor Rando was here, I'm sure he'd pick this up too. For the recorder, it's in the middle where it starts with Councillor Rando expressed, and at the bottom of the second sentence following, it's Councillor Rando further iterated that he would have. It should be he would have, and delete the B.
Okay.
Small.
And if I can just stay with page 6 then, and this isn't an error on anybody's part, but if I could go to 8B, and in the last sentence just put unanticipated road condition surprises. Thank you very much, and I'm sure that can include any car road condition surprises. Anything else? I just have one question, and I think I know the answer to this, but if nobody does know the answer to it, that's okay. But on item 7B on page 5 at the very bottom, it's just that we had asked the dog walking group and that had come before us and to consult with the Trailblazers, and I know that they have. And just maybe for the record, I believe that's coming at our next council meeting, and I see a nod. And just wanted, because it's in the minutes reflected there, just to say that we'll bring that back and to thank them for those thoughts and suggestions, recommendations that they put forward. There being nothing further, call question on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If we can go then to the reports by the interim CAO, and again, pardon, I'm sorry.
Oh, business out of the meeting minutes?
I'm sorry.
Business out of the meeting, isn't it?
Oh, I'm
Can't
sorry,
speak
yes,
today.
business arising?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd just like to comment on page 11 of 146, or whatever it is. The paragraph about the general correspondence of item number 5 and 163 regarding local ambulance service. I've been in contact with the local unit chief and had a call into the emergency health services. They're going to get back to me to explain the change in service to the community. Dr. William Dick is the one who I'm waiting for a phone call on, who is the one that spearheaded this. So, so as soon as I get something, I'll pass it on.
Okay, and actually you drew attention to that page, and so I've gone further in my package, and I've actually got issue identified at the BC Mayor's Caucus. So I wanted to pass that on to you, Councillor Bain, that the issue that you brought forward came forward over and over and over again at the microphones at the BC Mayor's Caucus as a significant issue. So if you can continue to report to us on the reallocation of ambulance time, and also on what is call out, I probably don't have this correct, but a call out 1 or a call out 2, because there's been a reassignment downgrading on, I believe, 60 different 60 different categories, and some of them people were benign about, and others they were not benign about, and had stories from their home communities and brought that issue forward. So thank you very much for keeping us abreast of that. If I can move us along, going through number 7A, Community Center renovation. And perhaps I can call upon you to just give an overview, or would you rather do it in your report? Okay. If I can, then just have it dealt with in the report. And move receipt of reports. Council, could I have, thank you, Councillor Bain, and another, thank you, Councillor Ronsley. All those in favor of receipt? Carried unanimously. If we can move along to the interim CAO's report, and I don't know if you want me to... Have you read your report?
It's public.
It's public. Okay. I will stay. Community hall renovation.
Okay. This part, you may want to wait for.
That's correct.
And Madam Mayor, I'm pleased to say that the community hall renovations have started. You can see the work that the Historical Society staff have done today. They've ripped the pictures, your pictures right off the wall.
And lovingly placed them.
Lovingly placed them in boxes. You can see that the roof is being worked on now, and they've actually the south side is mostly taken off now. So it's actually quite good. The council will be considering the recommendation tonight to hire a construction manager and the company. So we're quite excited. We've got 2 trailers that'll be coming in next week, I believe. One will be a storage unit for all the archives and other files that we have in this building that we don't use on a regular basis. That will be located on the east wall adjacent to the CLAT building. There will be another portable trailer brought in that will be used as a temporary office while we relocate to the upper floor of the CLAT building, and that will take place the week of May 21st. So we have a council meeting, hopefully short, on the 20th, and we start moving on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd up to the CLAT building. As everybody knows, there are stairs, quite steep stairs, that are in the CLAT building, and so in order to assist the public, what we're going to be doing is in the temporary trailer, we'll be locating one or more of our staff, who shall remain, who we shall name later, who will be there to provide information to the public, a place for the public to pay their taxes, because we do want to make it easy for that, for people to do that, utility bills, answer any other public inquiries, and so that will be set up on adjacent to the CLAT building as well. We will be moving all the furniture out of here, and then once the construction manager is hired on site, The next step will then, after the roof is completed, we will then be moving towards getting the asbestos taken out of the building. And then we will be dealing with the east wall and shoring up the east wall. All expectations is that the timing is good, and hopefully the weather will survive for the next week and a half, as we, or actually a couple of weeks, I guess, for the roof. So, all in all, I think it's exciting, and we're moving forward. And I appreciate all of the community's accommodations as we move forward with this, and particularly staffs and councils. For a council meeting, what we are recommending for the months of June and July is that we reduce the formal council meetings to one a month, and that they be held at the in the gymnasium of the elementary school. And I fully believe that we're going to have more than just one meeting a month, but they'll be at the call of the chair, and probably during the day or when it's convenient for council and the community. So that's for the community hall. We're moving forward.
Okay, can I ask, just make a suggestion? This afternoon at our committee of the whole meeting, we did have the topic being communication, and just in that light, could we do a regular weekly
Yes, we are.
e-post, fantastic, on the community center, where it is, what people can know to expect, and
Yes.
that's fantastic, thank you so much. And so I'm here going to recuse myself
Yes.
once again, thank you very much.
The next item that I'm going to report on is Isleview Place and the cutting of the trees. This was raised by members of our community at the last meeting, and expressed some concern about the number of trees that were cut, and the belief that these were cut without approval, and wanted to know the background. Following from that, Councillor McLaughlin and I met with Mr. Broughton almost immediately after that council meeting to really understand what role Mr. Broughton had in cutting of those trees. We were provided with detailed information and provided with confirmation that, in fact, the owner of the property at 225 Isleview Place did give permission to cut those trees, and all the trees at that point in time, we were led to believe were on private property. We were also advised that Mr. Broughton and the owner wanted the trees to be cleaned up because they went in there and they were not happy with how the trees ended up, and are prepared to go in there and tidy up the cut. But he has agreed that, Mr. Broughton has agreed that this would not be done until such time as I've been able to advise council again and the public what's happened. I was also concerned, and I think everybody was concerned, that in fact there was confirmation that the trees that were cut were in fact on private property. The only way we could actually do that was to secure, at a cost, a survey. And Mr. Broughton, at his cost, did bring forward or hire and was able to deliver today a survey of the property in which trees were cut. All the trees that were cut were on private property. There were two trees, though, that were identified 9.5-inch diameter that actually straddled the property line. I've spoken with Mr. Ernst Berder of the Ministry of Transportation and Highways, and his position is that if the tree was topped, he does not have a problem with that. So I think all in all, the position that I believe the municipality is in is that the trees were cut on private property. I think there should, as we talked about today, there probably wasn't good communication, or there certainly was misunderstanding of what was communicated and what was to be cut. Not only by some of the residents, but also perhaps by the person who actually cut those trees as well. And I think both of those are attempting to be rectified. So my understanding is that it's all on private property. The survey shows it's on private property. The Ministry of Transportation and Highways does not have any issue with what has happened because it is on private property. And as far as we know, that's the end of the situation. I understand that Mr. Broughton is attempting to speak with the people, the neighbors, and to address their issues about the unsightliness. They do want to clean up the fallen branches and trees around the area as well. So from my point of view, that's the end of the story at this point. And hopefully that there'll be, if there's ever, any trees are cut again, that there's more communication. And, for whatever reason, whether the people were out of town, didn't understand, and so it was, it's happened now, and we hope that we can just move forward with it. The other item, I guess that's it. The other item in Public Works, and don't need to go through with that item, so you had a chance to read it. The audit has been completed now for 2013. Hari can speak to it in any detail, but we understand that the audit is a clean audit this year. There will be an audit committee, I believe, next week. The financial statements will be submitted to council next week for review, and then they can be made public. The only other item that I do want to raise has been the erection of no parking signs in the village. And it's rather ironical that we had a communications workshop today at a point of time when we didn't communicate very properly about why those signs went up. So I guess I certainly apologize to those people that were caught unawares, and so we will be providing a clear communication of why those signs have gone up, where those signs are going up, and the reasons that those signs are going up. And I have a meeting tomorrow with the fire chief, and I will be reviewing those signage, and those people that have contacted me, I will be returning their calls and speaking to them and explaining it, and we'll be providing an e-post. So we will communicate better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further? Okay, any questions? If we can. Maybe a question that I have, just with regard to the Metro clean wood disposal ban, organics disposal ban, just at a high level, just looking at moving forward with our garbage changes. Just maybe at a very high level.
At a very high level,
Very high level.
We've had a presentation by a private outfit.
Yeah.
I remember at the last meeting talking about organics. I have spoken with another private company, and ideally we could piggyback with a neighboring community and see if we can get some economies of scale
Yeah,
and
that's
participate in that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. If I can move along then to the mayor's report, and just take you to the BC Mayor's Caucus meeting that I attended April 23rd to 25th. And just again, that it was very useful, and things like the whole province talking about the ambulance issues, but certainly talking about sustainable funding. So last year at the Mayor's Caucus that was held in Prince George, I obtained a resolution that was unanimous to support small community grants. This year, what they've done is taken that to the next step, which is, I think number 2 of 10 or 11 of their recommendations is to support sustainable funding. So just making sure that that gets indentured. So that meeting is proving very, very helpful. And I think it's really bringing British Columbia together rather than arguing about whether you're big, small, medium, and what your interests are economically. So it's been very positive. The Howe Sound Community Forum was well attended, and the province of British Columbia sent 3 staffers to that, and from the Ministry of Forest, Lands and Natural Resources, each with their own expertise. And it's very exciting because they are willing to provide their staff time, work with their minister, and on a planning process that they've brought forward for planning tool that they've brought forward for Howe Sound. And then lastly, a thank you to Miller Capilano for their donation of material for the school field to enhance the baseball diamond. So, you know, they're just always a good partner of ours, and also to the Ministry of Transport and Highways, who will put together with the school field rejuvenation folks for some non-compliant no posts that, yeah.
Madam Mayor, while you're out of the room,
Yeah.
I mentioned that I'd spoken with Ernest
Oh,
Ernst
good.
today,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
he has said we can have the no post guardrails, provided they're not being used at this point in time to demarcate anything.
Oh,
So the
great.
ones that aren't being used, we are welcome to.
Exactly. So he'd
Mhm.
said that he'd need to meet on site for sure, so thank you very much for that. So any questions on that? There being none, if we can move along then to, through Councillor Ando's report. I think what's important in that report for you to note is that there are currently 3 divisions in the school, and next year the proposal is to go to 2 divisions. And so just for your information, I think that might be important. And Councillor Ronsley, and then I'll go to Councillor Bain and then Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, well, you are moving on from the Suites Committee, and along with the Filming Committee, which is going to be meeting next Monday, I believe in this room. Is that still on? Next Monday?
Yes.
Yes, we're still functioning here. From 6 to 8 p.m., that's a public meeting. I'd like to call your attention to the native garden. They're organizing a plant sale for the community of native plants. On May 17th, you're all invited, from 9:30 to 12:30. They're hoping to raise money for garden supplies and plants. So it'd be nice to at least drop by and support them for that.
If you can let them know that I am out of town May 17th.
I shall.
Yeah, and I'm very sorry not to be attending.
Right. And I'll be going tomorrow for the 3-day meeting of the LMG at Whistler, Lower Mainland mayors and councils and administrators. A regular meeting, and so you'll have to wait till the next report to find out all that I found out when I go tomorrow. Any questions?
Just I really would love to hear you say what Rosalind Coonan has to say, the economist who's going to be speaking. So, anyway,
I shall be
okay.
there. Thank you.
Councillor Bain.
Nothing at this time.
Fantastic.
Nothing to say.
Well,
Speechless.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Nothing at this time, Mayor Broughton, but
Okay.
when we're through the committees, if I've got something that I'd like to address with Councillor Ando, even though he's absent.
Okay, when we're through with committees, okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna
at
go
the
to
end,
secondary
we'll do that,
suites, and I believe there's one other minutes there. Pardon me, I'll go to secondary suites, and just that report has been received. And then the tree application, number 46.
Thank you, Mayor Broughton. The council has got the piece of the approval by the tree committee in the package. And I think the details provided cover everything. And I'm ready to move to a motion. The council's of a mind, so.
Okay, thank you very much. Could I have you move then that tree application number 46 move forward as per the tree committee's
I would
recommendation?
do as follows. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council approve the recommendation of the tree committee as articulated in their letter dated May 2nd with respect to tree application number 46.
Thank you very much. And a seconder, thank you, Councillor Ronsley. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, if I don't think any of us thought Councillor Ando would not be here, so I actually have some information on the infrastructure committee, which I would have posed to him. Which I think what I'll do is, if it's fine, I'll pose the issues and leave it with administration to forward them to Councillor Ando at their pleasure, and perhaps he can respond in public next meeting. Would that be appropriate, interim CAO? Does that work? And two things. Firstly, I think that this was somewhat spurred by Jessica Delaney, the media consultant, communication advisor, that was here earlier today. So I've timed myself. It takes about 1:30 to get through this. So I apologize for that, Fred. I can do that. So it's to the point, but with enough background so that everybody here in council and the gallery can understand what's happening. And this somewhat stems off, there's an infrastructure committee meeting on May the 13th, which is posted at the thing. So I'll just go with this. At our last council meeting, council for various reasons did not support paying for an engineering consultant to be hired to create an infrastructure master plan. While we all recognize the need for such an up-to-date master plan, we all must be cognizant of how we manage the finances of our village. My concern, and perhaps others share my concern, is that council was asked via a resolution put forward by Councillor Ando minutes before the first and second readings of bylaw number 473, first and second readings of bylaw 473, the 5-year financial plan, to approve the hiring of a consultant to bring together this master plan without any understanding of both the soft and hard costs of such a study. In the days following that council meeting, our interim CAO undertook some research and determined that there never really existed a master infrastructure plan. Rather, the 2005 award-winning strategy, which was what it was called, was just that, a strategy comprised of 3 studies. For various reasons, the capital project spreadsheet that was created in 2005-06 has over the years been repeatedly amended with many projects completed, some dropped and others added. My understanding is that all of council is aware that last year the former Secretary Treasurer undertook a major review of our infrastructure. I believe our interim CAO mailed this to Councillor Ando and the balance of council a while ago. Last week, our interim CAO suggested that to help move a master infrastructure plan forward at the least cost was to take the former Secretary Treasurer's work and compare it to the 2005 studies and review the subsequent years' annual capital plans to determine what work was identified, what work is being completed, and what work has not been done. To Councillor Ando, I did not second your resolution last council meeting, as I cannot support paying a consultant with such a wide open mandate when either the infrastructure committee or the village can and ought to do some preliminary work. So these are the 2 questions I have, which Councillor Ando can respond to the next council meeting. To help the village move forward with the first steps in creating a master plan, do you think you could recommend that without the assistance of village personnel, to digress for a second, they're currently involved in moving, they're also arranging setting up and being operational at a new location. They've got construction responsibilities, and there's a pending issuance of tax notice and collection activity. Their plate is really quite full. So to finish the sentence, without the assistance of village personnel, that the infrastructure committee review the 2005 PowerPoint and the studies that created the PowerPoint in order to understand what the spreadsheet identified, and then look at each subsequent year's capital plan and determine what was originally proposed, what was completed, what projects weren't, which projects fell off the spreadsheets, what new projects were added, what were completed, and which projects weren't completed up to 2014. I believe our interim CAO can send the spreadsheets to Councillor Ando and the Infrastructure Committee. I don't think he sent this information at this point, as my understanding is that there is some confusion as to who and when this work might be undertaken. Question number 2. Also last week, per the minutes that Council's just approved, Councillor Ando advised he had no qualms in resigning from the Infrastructure Committee. I think this would be a loss. Recognizing the mayor's corporate memory, which is longer than perhaps all of us put together, is Councillor Ando's commitment to the village and administrative staff being unable to assist for the reasons I noted, unable to assist the infrastructure committee beyond forwarding the spreadsheets. How would you suggest we move forward and for the committee to obtain the knowledge of the mayor? I pose that for Councillor Ando when we meet in public next.
Mayor, if I
Yeah.
may,
Yeah.
just perhaps
Thank you.
assist with this. the infrastructure committee meeting is next week.
Yes.
So perhaps this could be put in as, into the minutes and then forwarded to the committee.
As you will, as the administration would do.
And then, then the committee can receive that.
Fine.
I'll just, I'll see what council's thoughts are.
Good idea.
Okay,
I think it's a very
okay,
good idea.
okay. So if we can bring forward resolution to, or do you want to just informally have that by consensus?
I think these are, well, like, the information's for Mr. Ando to respond to, I don't know, on the resolution, interim CA.
Oh, if I may, Madam Mayor, why don't we just forward these comments to the, through the chair to the infrastructure committee?
Perfect.
Okay, okay, that's fantastic. The only, in listening, the only comment that I might have is just that prior to 2005, many projects were completed as well, and I don't know if those have been documented within the 2005 report or not. So I see, I'll need to review that as well. So, okay.
Could you remind us of the new date for the infrastructure committee meeting? Do you have that?
13th.
The 13th,
Okay.
At
7 p.m.
here? Thank you.
Okay, if I may, if council is comfortable with
I'll email
that.
to you.
I'm going to move us along then, thank you, Councillor McLaughlin, to 9A, resolution for special meeting on May 13th, which is not that meeting. That meeting, I presume, is in the evening. We have a meeting, special meeting at 3 p.m. And we also have a meeting, just for council's reminder, at 12:30 that day. And the 3 p.m. meeting is a special meeting.
To adopt tax rates in the 5-year financial plan.
Thank you very much. So to complete the final bylaw reading for the 5-year financial plan. Could I have somebody, council, please move a resolution to have a special council meeting on May 13th, 2014 at 3 p.m. for the purpose of final adoption of the 5-year plan. Councillor Bain and Councillor McLaughlin, any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can move on to the next resolution, which is to cancel the scheduled council meetings in June and July.
The second, the June 3rd.
It doesn't mean both of them. There are dates attached to this. Thank you very much. You have them right there. So if I can, here we go. So be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council does cancel the June 3rd and July 8th regular council meetings. Could I have council move? Thank you, Councillor Ronsley, and second. Thank you, Councillor Bain. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Next resolution is for the meeting venue for council to change the Lions Bay School during the community centre renovation. And the resolution reads as follows: be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council does approve relocation of regular council meetings to the gymnasium of Lions Bay School during the community centre renovation project. Could I have council move and second? Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin and Councillor Ronsley. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we have an on table as 9D, and that is the Committee of the Whole at its May 6, 2014 in-camera meeting, and as reported out in the public portion of that same meeting, recommend the following resolution be put forward to council at the May 6th regular council meeting. Be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay Council resolves to move forward on awarding the construction manager contract to Kindred Construction in the amount of $26,675 following a request for proposal process and confirmation of the selection criteria having been met. Do I have council move and second? Thank you, Councillor Bain and Councillor McLaughlin. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Now, item 9E, which is our Member of Parliament's request to resolve once again this year that the Village of Lions Bay Council support for National Fitness Day to be held the first Saturday of June, which I believe is June 7th this year, in 2014. Could I have council move and thank you, Councillor Ronsley, and seconder Councillor McLaughlin. And any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. I'll just put a footnote to that I did talk to Member of Parliament Weston about the fact that this year we had a big weekend the weekend before, and that particular weekend is a conflict with West Van Community Days as it normally is, but it's a conflict with our school's annual weekend away, and so our school parents and children will all, and their siblings will all be away that weekend, and it's a conflict with some other of our community groups, including the Trailblazer Leaders. So there may be something where we could even just, he suggested an e-post calling people to action to be fit in their own lives with their own family. And I wondered if we could even perhaps ask Uta Phillips, who's the president of the Arts Council, the Sunday before, maybe that people could, if they'd enjoy some walking between some of the gardens, something like that, where we just are encouraging people to do some exercise. So I don't know, Councillor McLaughlin, I saw that question mark go right into your mind.
It's National Health Day.
It's National Health and Fitness Day. Pardon me,
Okay.
it should be Health and Fitness Day, correct. And that is Saturday, June 7th, but because we're having such a big weekend in Lions Bay the weekend before with the curbside free garage sale throughout the weekend, and then on Sunday, the art and music in the garden show. So both those events are on that weekend. So maybe we can do something and
Well-
certainly embrace it into an e-post, and maybe there can be something. Thank you very much. If I can move us along then to our bylaws. Bylaw number 472, tax rates bylaw, the third reading. Could I have council please move and second? Third reading of our tax rate. Thank you very much, Councillor Bain, and second, Councillor Ronsley. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can go then to bylaw number 473, 5-year financial plan, third reading. And could I have council please move and second? Third reading. Thank you. Councillor Bain, and a seconder please. Councillor McLaughlin. And any discussion? All those in favor? Carried, opposed? Carried unanimously. Let's go on to bylaw number 474, election procedures bylaw. First reading, and then we'll do second reading. So first reading. Could I please have a mover and seconder? Thank you, Councillor Ronsley and Councillor Bain. Any discussion? Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If we can move second reading of bylaw number 474, election procedures bylaw. And have council move and second. Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin and Councillor Ronsley. And just to thank Ms. Kuntz very much for developing that bylaw. I see your name all over it. Thank you very much. Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Could I have council please move first reading of bylaw number 475, secondary suites amendment bylaw? Thank you, Councillor Bain, and a seconder, Councillor McLaughlin. Any discussion? Again, I just want to comment on the work done on this bylaw. It's clean, it's clear, and it creates continuous quality improvement. So I really want to thank you on that. And then I'm going to call question. Call question on the motion. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. So if we can move along then to correspondence and have council move receipt of correspondence. Thank you, Councillor Ronsley and Councillor Bain. All those in favor of receipt? Opposed? Carried unanimously. If we can move along then to incoming correspondence from external sources for Lions Bay. And if I can just circle number 1, number 6, and number 12. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. And are there any others from external sources that you wish to pull at this time? Okay, I just want to say number 1, and if I could just garner that the Patricia Heinzman, who is the chair of the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District Board of Directors, has, on behalf of her Regional District Board, sent out 3 questions to the signatories of the Principles for Cooperation. And if I might report to this table that Metro passed the revised Principles for Cooperation and will also be signing it. And so we've got, I think, all of those passed. But it's, what is the future of the Howe Sound Community Forum? I would say the future, as we understand it, is to move forward with planning in consultation with the province of British Columbia's Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resources, and our Member of Parliament John Weston and our MLA Jordan Sturdy, along with all of the political parties, along with all of the elected officials from regional districts, municipalities, First Nations, and including observers' interests. What are the objectives? And please stop me, table, if I'm making an error here, but I think this is the simplest way to go, but I will stop if you want me to. They are outlined in the revised Principles for Cooperation, and as Councillor Ronsley has gone over those many times, they're really clearly and thoroughly outlined as the values. What is the relationship between the future of Howe Sound Society and the Howe Sound Community Forum? Just for this table, the future of, and for the minutes, the future of Howe Sound Society volunteer executive director Ruth Simons has taken on a volunteer function to bring, well, I'll say the words and if you nod or disagree, but to bring the elected officials together in a coordinated manner and to assist with site selection for our meetings, funding for our meetings, and grant applications through our Member of Parliament and MLA, maybe. The pay for a Member of Parliament. Don't want to stretch things too much. Okay, and those are all factual, and I think that helps create some clarity. So if we could prepare a letter for them and that. If I can just go to the 2 other letters that I have here. My apologies. The Metro Vancouver New Waste to Energy Capacity is an announcement of a consultation process. The consultation process was cancelled once the City of Nanaimo's 9-member council voted unanimously in opposition to waste to energy. The Tuesday, April 22nd, if that was a Tuesday, and the consultation process was cancelled until 2015, the following day. So I just want, and then number 12, North Shore Table Matters Food Charter. You saw that going and toing and froing, and thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So we did pass the food charter, and we've communicated that, and then we'll communicate it in a letter as well. So I just wanted to update you on that. And then if I can, if there are any other queries or comments about the external correspondence, there being none. The internal correspondence from people within Lions Bay, are there any that council wishes to make comment on? or for that matter, staff, is it fair to ask staff to respond to the correspondence that's been received? I'd just say that, has everybody read the correspondence? And just to make sure, because I know that one of the items is a petition, and so just to make sure that the correspondence is received, and I see council nodding its head, and,
So for clarity, Madam Mayor, if,
yeah.
staff could respond to the
Thank you very
appropriate
much.
letters.
Okay, thank you, that's what I'm asking for. Councillor Ronsley?
Madam Mayor, it may be prudent to, in the response to say, for numbers 1, 2, 3,
And 4.
and 4, that the letters are being referred to the filming committee.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If that's the best wishes of council as well, I see all in agreement. Then let's move forward to the landfill inventory and closure status assessment study. I don't know if Mr. McGradu or CAO might have received an email from me. Did you see that today regarding, it's just a query. And I might have, in reviewing this one, and I see Mr. Emo here today, thank you so much. When in this correspondence, it indicates that the different municipalities were notified, and Lions Bay was notified, and it says 2011. I think in here it says 20, I might be wrong. But what happened, if I may, let's see what date this is. Oh, no. Okay, but prior to the end of our last council, I believe, because this was a significant item for Councillor Akerhelm, and we were all had our eye on it. And we received a letter from the Ministry of Environment, and I've searched I did a computer search twice today, and I couldn't pick it up on my own computer. But we do have a Ministry of Environment letter. I don't know if you've seen it, just concluding that the site was not contaminated. But the Ministry of Environment will have that letter anyway. I don't know if that's helpful to you, or you already have that letter.
I have one from October 2012.
Oh, 2012. Oh,
Yes.
maybe it was 2012. Pardon me. Oh, good.
You can just read it.
Could you? Yeah.
Right. So October 24th, 2012, from Ministry of Environmental Protection. This letter is a follow-up to an inspection of your landfill, authorized through permits PR 02059, located near Village of Lions Bay. On October 4th, 2012, the inspection was conducted by personnel of the Ministry of Natural Resources Operations on behalf of the Ministry of Environment. Your permit was included as part of the landfill inspection project managed through the Resource Management Coordination Program. At the time of the inspection, there were no observable non-compliance issues at the site. A copy of the inspection report has been attached for your reference. Based on the observations at the time of the inspection, it appears that the landfill has not been used for many years. If you no longer intend to use the landfill, please send a letter requesting either abandonment or cancellation of your permit to the Ministry of Environment. It should be noted that the MOE policy favors abandonment of landfill permits over cancellation of landfill permits.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'll just go to Mr. McGradu now, just to say what we might be researching.
Well, through Madam Mayor, Mr. Emo and I are having discussions about that, and we're just deciding whether the appropriate is to abandon or just close.
Oh,
Will,
excellent.
did you want to say anything else on that?
Through discussion with Metro Vancouver and from reading all of the documents, everyone is saying abandonment
Yes.
is better than closing. And that's what the Ministry of Environment
Excellent.
prefers, and that's probably the best route to go. So according to the engineer's report, Morrison Hirschfield, they looked through the historical documents, and what they saw was when the landfill was closed in 1983, that basically at that point it's complied with all the requirements for a closed site, although it wasn't officially closed. So that's what they're going by. Coming out of that, there were some concerns, geotechnical concerns, so that might come up.
Excuse me.
Depending on what the MOE wants to do, or pursue.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
Okay, and we'll bring a report back and a
Fantastic.
recommendation.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Both, and thank you, Mr. Emo, for being here this evening. Yes, Councillor Bain?
I have to confess somewhat ignorance for garbage, but what are the benefits and risks of closure versus abandonment? And second point on that is how does that impact the village? Is that going to be reverted to usable land in the future, or what does this mean?
They didn't, from what I've seen, they didn't go into details on why one is preferred over the other. I'm not sure what the reason would be for that. Effectively, they would consider it closed, but it's certainly not used anymore. But for them to take it off their books and consider that permit closed or abandoned, Ministry of Environment still will need to review and recommend something.
Through you, Madam Mayor, what we're trying to find out is if we abandon, does that mean we lose all rights to, we're not gonna use it as garbage dump, obviously, but do we lose all rights to the land? So we just wanna make sure that, if we abandon it, that doesn't mean we can't have any rights to it. So that's what we're gonna check out.
Just because this has come up and because I happen to have this information and for the table and for our history here, that 260 Bayview Road was the first garbage dump, the first property south of the school site, which we discovered when we were digging the hole for our property at that time. And in 1973 was when we dug the foundation for our property, and then it was explained to us that it had been the site of the first garbage dump in Lions Bay, I think for 1 year. Anyway, nothing was cited with us and at that time, etc. So, but just as a part of history into that point, I don't know. At any rate,
Classified as a midden. Oh, a midden.
we have our own.
Just don't find any bones.
Yeah.
That's all better.
Yeah. No.
Dog bones, fish rather.
Yeah. So I'll just move us along though to 12B. We brought this forward from the first meeting in April, Volunteer Appreciation Week and Emergency Preparedness Week, and we've just gone through Emergency Preparedness Week, and so it's an opportunity to really thank our emergency preparedness volunteers, and I know both of you are emergency preparedness volunteers, both Councillor Bain and Councillor Ronsley. Councillor Bain is very involved as his portfolio is emergency services and covers all aspects of emergency services. So I want to take a special moment to appreciate both council members, but also to pass along our depth of appreciation to our emergency services personnel, both Lions Bay Fire Rescue, Emergency Service, Social Services, and I see Susan Lautet, is she still here? And Eileen Wilkie are both, and Deirdre Bain. So we have five active members. I'm on the membership list as a member, and I review and receive all the minutes, but we have 5 active members here. So thank you very much for all of the work that you do in training and in thinking about and preparing for a potential emergency, and to provide your assistance to people who need it in Lions Bay, or the traveling public who need it, who have come to Lions Bay. With this community acknowledgement, I'm going to make a suggestion, because staff are so busy, that this is not the time for us to plan a community volunteer event, but that I've been thinking about it and thinking that perhaps what we could do is dovetail that into a community center opening, if everybody is comfortable with that, and bring that all together. Does that feel good?
Great idea.
Okay, thank you very much. If I can move us along to the last item under new business, and that's 12C, and again, it's an on-table. And that is an on-table that I'd requested because Metro Vancouver has sent along a query to us from Heather McNell, Regional Planning Division Manager at Metro Vancouver, and that Port Metro Vancouver is in a final stage. We actually extended this request deadline, and then we extended the request deadline again, we being the Metro Board. And when I was listening to that extension and then receiving this, I thought, we actually in Lions Bay have a couple of things that likely we would like to put in there, and I put that in the Dear Grant and Council note. In this regard, I recommend that we identify potential concern regarding freighter speed in Howe Sound, along with concern to know what the proposed LNG tanker transport route may be through Howe Sound. That both safety and speed are a concern with regard to emissions, and with speed, emissions being if there's speed and there were emissions, what potentially might happen. And with speed, the potential for the formation of a rogue wave that puts both small boaters and shoreside little ones potentially at risk. So if we could pass those thoughts along to Metro Vancouver, to pass along to the Port Vancouver file from the Village of Lions Bay, would Council be content with that? Thank you, Councillor Bain.
May I add something to it?
Yes, definitely.
The concern of having one of those super tankers come through here is going to be pushing more water than a regular freighter does.
Absolutely.
And as such, we will get more wave action on shore. So I would be concerned about properties along the shoreline, the marina and our beach, having more erosion with the larger tankers coming through here. So I think speed is a real issue, and even if they're going quite slow, they will be pushing a lot of water. And it's only got 2 ways to go.
Okay, so they're going to be pushing and displacing significant amounts of water. Maybe we can put, and they will already know this on their file, but for example, in Steveston, I believe in 2011 or 2012, a speeding freighter created a rogue wave that pulled a 3-year-old off the beach. That's the kind of situation we're not wanting in Howe Sound. And fortunately, the child was rescued, though was hospitalized. So, but you can just put that it did pull the force of that. So if you get that kind of rogue wave, there are times in Lions Bay in August where suddenly you have a Maui type reaction, but a rogue wave is very different than that. But it can be exciting to watch, just like a tsunami. And so you don't move yourself first if you're a boater or if you're a little one. So if we can, yes.
If I can make another point to do with the waves, I'm thinking of our beach, the sand that we pay to put on our beach every year. With the increased tidal or wave action and everything, I would suspect we'd have more loss of sand and more cost to the village because of that.
Thank you very much. And you managed to capture that. That's excellent. Any other thoughts that you have?
And the booms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Booms actually could be dangerous.
The what?
The booms could
Yeah.
be dangerous.
So we have, as a community that looks out over Howe Sound, we have rescued boaters, including, I think, in the last week in Howe Sound. And so we look at the small boats that are regular traffic out there, and we just don't want anybody to be in harm's way. Thank you. Okay, with that, I'm going to then go to public questions and comments. Ms. Conlon?
I have one question of the mayor and 2 comments that probably will help clarify things. Tonight you recused yourself twice, and under the community charter, you're to
Right.
say why. And if you say why, it
Right.
clears things up for the gallery.
Right.
So can you tell us why?
So the first time.
It was Michael.
Michael.
And the second one was his report.
Because
on
right,
boxes or
because as the part owner of the store and cafe, I took guidance from Mr. Broughton that I should recuse myself. I don't know what he spoke to actually. And the second one, in a way, I mean, I don't know whether I should have recused myself or not. It's that kind of, but again, as part owner of the store and cafe, but I'm not, have nothing to do with the Canada Post facility down there. And so it's one of those kind of points that is on the line. It puts me in a
Okay.
place where I'm not
That's-
able to respond.
That's helpful. In the past, I've also heard you say something about a footprint on the strata. What is that?
What do you mean a footprint?
I don't know. I have you taped saying something strata and that you,
Footprint on the
does,
strata.
is there anything that your store and your cafe have to do with being part of that strata?
We are part of that strata.
Okay, and that's probably what I heard. Okay, so thank you. So that clarifies that, and that gives a general background. But when Mr. McGradu addressed what I raised
Yeah.
in the COTW about why we were posting down on what appeared to be private property, that appeared to be co-owned by your husband and yourself and maybe other people as a strata, if you own any
Yeah,
part
the
of that,
strata,
because
yes.
you own the lot, you own
Yes.
the room, you own whatever, I don't know. What's adding to the confusion, and I don't know whether this is a typing error, but the snow plowing letter of November 2009 that's sitting on our website as a policy refers only to Michael, and it says Strata BCS 851, Box 10, 350 Center Road. Could be Michael Tickner, he was speaking at that time, or it could be, we don't know who Michael is. Could have been Michael, anybody. The second one is if you read the emails from the Pleva covers, the April 8th one is signed by Michael, and it says Strata BCS 815, a different number, could be two different stratas, a different box number, 184 and the 190 Lions Bay Avenue, which I assume is your house. So
I have no idea.
the thing is,
I
do
honestly,
you-
I have
when you
no
own the building, but just a
knowledge.
moment, if your family owns the store and the cafe, and you're talking about a strata, are you renting space from somebody who owns what's called the strata lot? That owns the post office
Honestly,
where you post?
I think that this is something that I through Mr. McGrath, who needs to go to
And
Mr.
then I can try to get
Yeah.
an
The
answer to
problem,
that.
Mr. McGrath, quite respectfully, is that you don't talk and you don't get back to me.
Well-
I am still waiting for a March 23rd and 24th letter,
On
which
what?
you said here in the council that you would respond to, and you didn't.
On what?
I'm now to go look at your correspondence, it's on the council package. You're not responding. It was written to council. You said at a meeting that you would take it over. I've had no response from council.
Okay.
So I will continue to
Miss-
ask questions.
Miss
Yes.
Miss Conlon, may I clarify? I just can't respond to questions that I don't
No,
know,
and
and I
that's
have
fair
no
enough.
knowledge
That's
about.
fair enough.
And so I really want to be clear with the gallery, with staff, because I'm in a very, have been put in a very compromised position, where I'm compromised in the sense that, am I able to speak, am I not, to say, you know, this matter isn't pertaining to
No,
me.
this did not pertain to you. It was a
And so I
general to
want
mayor and
colleagues
council,
to
and
feel-
it was addressed to all of you, but
Yeah.
nobody is replying to it, and during
I
a meeting,
understand.
it said that staff would
I
reply to
see.
it, and that's
I
not
see.
happening.
Okay, thank you
So
very
I will
much, Ms.
continue to
Conlon.
ask my question.
I thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, and thank you to the gallery and staff for being here this evening. It's at that point in the meeting where I thank you for coming and bid you adieu and have a good, oh, I'm sorry.
Just one brief comment.
If I should leave as a,
As a co-owner
yeah.
of
yeah,
then
could I
I
please recuse
suggest-
myself as a co-owner of the store and cafe? Does that sound good? Thank
Okay.
you very much, Councillor Ronsley.
Time here, please.
Sorry, I'll speak very briefly. I just wanted to update council very briefly that the There are 4 people mainly involved on Ivy Place. The Povilles, the public covers, the Stoddards, and Ms. Butterworth. And I've been in communication with the public covers last Friday, with Mr. Stoddard on Friday evening, with Ms. Butterworth on Friday. And all of them are more than willing to meet with me, and we will attempt to resolve any issues that are in play there, which I feel very, very badly about. There was some very, very poor communication, and I will meet with them once the public covers are back again in Nevada, dealing with a very serious family issue. The Butterworths are away on holidays for 2 weeks, and so once everyone is back in Vancouver, we will meet and we will resolve the matter. The trimming that occurred was to be completed in a very professional way, and as a result of a photo that was sent after the first number of hours of work, the public covers who were in Nevada at the time requested that the work cease, and that was respected and continues to be respected until the parties involved are met with and feel comfortable with moving forward. So that it has made the situation extremely challenging, because it's a very difficult one to communicate as well as to who would you communicate to and how would you communicate that. So anyway, I'm very anxious to complete and resolve this matter, and that will take place in a very short time. I'm very, very delighted to say that all 4 neighbors value one another greatly. They value their relationships very greatly, and that has been very evident through this process in my experience. So it's really been very helpful, and it's been very comforting to be a member of Lions Bay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the mayor could have stayed in for that one. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, thank the gallery very much for being here this evening, and say that we're now moving into in-camera. So it's time to move forward and enjoy your evening. Thank you very much. In-camera resolution. The regular meeting of May 6, 2014 does close this meeting to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following section of the Community Charter. 91. A part of a council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one or more of the following. C. Labor relations or other employee relations. G. Litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality.
We're still in public.
Could I please have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Ronsley and Councillor Bain. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. If we can then move